Hey everyone, it's your favorite rogue Chirpy, here again with another video. In this video, I'll be showing you how I got rank 1 of all rogues in the world on our very first Mythic Dathea kill. I was able to outperform rogues that have multiple kills on this boss already, as well as rogues that did this fight before the 10.0.5 nerf, so it's a pretty big accomplishment for me. I'll be starting with showing you guys the build I used and then reviewing the log breakdown so you can see where my damage is coming from. I just want to say thank you all for all the amazing support you've given me since I've started this channel 3 weeks ago. We are almost at 1,000 subs already within my first month of posting videos. Let's try to get to that goal this week. If you like the content and are not subscribed, which is the vast majority of my viewers, I would greatly appreciate you taking 2 seconds to click that sub button. It helps me out a lot, and if you like the content, drop a like too so the YouTube algorithm will suggest my videos to other players so they can learn too. Thanks so much for watching, now on to the video.
Alright, so let's look over the logs. So you'll see here, I beat every single road by a decent margin. I got 2k DPS over. I did get 3 externals. I got Blessing at bottom, which is CDR, which is pretty nice. That probably helped me push over to the rank 1 position. But if you look here, I'm one of the only people, there are a couple others, but I'm one of the only people that are using Count the Odds build. Everyone else is using Green Whisker. And, I mean, Green Whiskers is fine, but I feel like the Count the Odds build is just a little bit better right now. Just because with Green Skin's Whiskers, you are running out of energy quite a lot. So we'll go down to Between the Eyes. I have a 92% uptime on Between the Eyes. My Broodkeeper's Blaze and Flaring Cowl did a lot of extra work as well. This is the ring and the crafted helm. This is the Airnog ring. And then you'll see what my damage breakdown is. The majority of my damage is coming from ambush outside of Blade Flurry. Blade Flurry is just passive cleave, but ambush is where most of my damage is coming from. So there's 2 very important talents that you need to maximize your ambush, and that is Hard Hitter and Lethality. They add great amounts of damage to your building abilities, such as Ambush, Sinister Strike, and Pistol Shot. So those are pretty mandatory talents. If you want the talent build that I used, be sure to check out the link in the description. You'll see the exact talent build I use. And then we have Dispatch, Pistol Shot, Melees. Then we'll have my Storm Eater's Boon. I did 3 casts of it, 1 right at the start, and 1 on each platform I went to. And on average, they each did 1.15 million. Obviously, the first boon I didn't get huge value, probably around 400k. And then the other boons I did, because it was AoE, did most of the other damage. Then we look at my main Ghost. This will be affected by your Mastery. So Mastery isn't the best stat for Outlaw, but it's not the worst. I got a new Crit Mastery ring for my Vault on the day of this kill, so my Mastery value was decently high, and that helped push that over. The main thing that we want to look at right here is my crit percent. So you'll see most of my abilities were critting. Ambush 76, Dispatch 69, Pistol Shot 73, and I only have 38% crit, I believe, on this pull with Buzzing Runes. And this is because of our Between the Eyes uptime. When you have Between the Eyes on your target, you're gaining crit chance. That's the whole purpose of only hitting the target that you're Between the Eyes on. So if you are hitting that one target, you are having an insane amount of crit chance, and that's where a lot of rogues will mess up. They just won't keep Between the Eyes up. So that's something, make sure that you're always trying to keep Between the Eyes up on your target at all times whenever you're hitting it. You don't want to be hitting something that you don't have Between the Eyes on. If you know there's an ad phase coming and you need to switch to an ad, you need to make sure you have a Between the Eyes ready to switch to that ad so you're not refreshing on your other target before you get to this one. This is the talent build that I used for this fight. Let's start with the class tree. I go for Nimble Fingers as one of my choice nodes, because this is a DPS node even though it is for our defensives. It lowers the energy cost of our Feint and Crimson Vial by 10. So more energy that you have, more energy you can spend on other things. I go for Fleeted Footwork instead of Iron Stomach because this movement speed has really good value on Dathea. It helps you run out of the Cyclone faster, it helps you avoid the tornadoes when they're running across the screen, and it helps you get in position to get knocked over to your platform even more efficiently. Then I take Cold Blood as well for the slight little extra DPS increase, and I just have that macroed onto my Dispatch. If you want the macro, go ahead and join the Discord. The link is in the description. I have all my macros, add-ons, everything else that you need in that Discord. And as for the spec tree, there's not really anything special here. This is what I run in M+. I drop Green Skin for 1 point and Count the Odds, and that's how you see me getting a bunch of different Roll the Bones buffs randomly for short durations. Alright, so let's start breaking down this pull. I'm
going down on the second and fourth platform, so I'm going to start this pull by using the regular opener of Adrenaline Rush, Roll the Bones, and I'm going to send my boon as my first global outside of my ambush there, because I need to get it on cooldown to be ready for the second platform, which I'm assigned to do. Here we are spamming through our Shadow Dance with our Adrenaline Rush still running to try to make use of as many ambushes as we can, as quickly as we can, to stack up as many buffs as we can, because we're playing Count the Odds, and we had a 5 buff rolling there for a little while because we were able to spam so many ambushes out. What's really nice about this build is you never really run out of energy, and you always have something to press for the most part. So I was pretty greedy using my Vanish and Shadow Dance pretty early, but luckily I had enough procs to continue playing until I had my next Vanish up. During this phase, we have a Windrush Totem, so I try to stay in the Windrush Totem as much as possible, but if you have Sprint for every single one of those Cyclones, you can just run out with Sprint and you'll be fine as well. Once this ad spawns, I pop Blade Flurry and continue with the single target rotation. I'm making sure to refresh my Roll of Bones buff before it expires, and keep between the eyes on the main target that we're hitting, which is the boss here. We're just cleaving onto the ad, so we gotta stay in proximity of the ad to get as much damage on it as possible until Raid Leader calls to stop damage or anything like that. So we're just staying in proximity of the ad and making sure that we can get it down. It's about to die, everyone else kills it, I stay on the boss here. This is my between the eyes target, so not really any point in me swapping. Right there, anytime that there's a knockback, you'll see I grapple hook immediately from the knockback, and that is only due to the grapple hook macro that I use. If you want to see all the macros that I use, be sure to check out this video that's on the screen right now. And then we just continue single target rotation. We're using the minimum amount of builders possible to get through to our spenders. If you haven't watched my Count the Odds rotational guide, that'll go through what priority you need to be pressing what buttons in. So be sure to check that out as well. Link on the screen right now. And again, we got our Shadow Dance up, and we get Adrenaline Rush back up as well. So I see that Adrenaline Rush is 1 second from coming up when I press my Shadow Dance, so I know I'm not going to run out of energy when I'm Shadow Dancing. When you Shadow Dance, you want to pool at least 100 energy to make sure that you can get a couple ambushes out before you have to pool again. Right here, Raid Leader calls for us to hard focus the ad, so I send my next between the eyes on the ad, because you never want to be hitting something that doesn't have between the eyes on it already. I did get sniped by that tornado there, my bad. But we stay on the ad, we're making sure that we're refreshing the between the eyes on that target to make sure we get the extra crit chance it allows us. And here, I'm not going to spend my between the eyes because I'm going over to the platform. And I need to make sure I have that available for the big ad, because that's what we're going to be cleaving off of. I hold my Adrenaline Rush, and I have my boon coming up shortly. We land, I start hitting this big ad right away. I get a fresh Roll the Bones buff, fresh Blade Flurry, and we are ready to just crank this. As soon as my boon comes up, I send it, and we are trying to cleave off this big ad. All that matters is killing this big ad. The small ones will die. Our boon runs out, and we just continue doing our rotation, trying to cleave everything down. And you'll see I get up to pretty high DPS there. I'm doing 110k right now, and that's just from the cleave. It's not a lot of extra dam or anything. It's just that's all cleave on the ads. But if that's how you get the parse on this fight, you get over to the platform and you do big dam. As soon as we land, I make sure I have a between the eyes ready, and I send that as my first spender on this boss again. I land in the Windrush, and we are chilling. And again, we're just trying to cycle through our rotation. If you notice, I hold on to my reroll for Roll the Bones there, and that's because I had Broadside. And Broadside is one of the best buffs that you can have if you only have one buff. If you only have one buff, the two that you would want are either Skull and Crossbones or Broadside. So you don't reroll on those, and you're able to hold on to your loaded dice buff longer, which means that you can get another Adrenaline Rush loaded dice shortly after your next Roll the Bones if you time it well. So as soon as Adrenaline Rush is up again, we're sending it, and I'm trying to stay in proximity of the ad with my Blade Flurry to make sure that I'm contributing to killing it. Because we have to kill it within a very specific time frame in order to make sure that people going over to the platform don't get the electric marks on them. Here, this was poor positioning on my part. I didn't realize I was in front of the boss there until I was like, oh, the tank is next to me. You don't want to be in front of the boss because he can parry your attacks. And you'll see sometimes, like, I might have a dispatch that I used, but it didn't spend any of my combo points. It's because the boss parried it. And if you're behind the boss, you'll avoid getting parried. So I reposition, and now I'm behind the boss. I'm good to go. All my buttons are working. And as soon as that Roll the Bones buff runs out, I reroll another. I get Skull and Crossbones. Pretty lucky. I do eat a tornado there. And right there, I really messed that up. I grapple hooked off the knockup into somebody with a mark. So I instantly cloaked it off, so that way I didn't take any extra damage and that we were safe. I shouldn't have gotten hit by the tornado and the knockup in the first place, and then I also should not have grapple hooked back into somebody who had the mark. I was just desperate to get back onto the ground. That was a misplay on my part, but you know, we made up for it because we had cloak. Not all classes are as prepared to deal with getting a mark like that, so lucky that we're playing rogue here.
If you're still watching, now's a great time to subscribe to the channel. It's free, takes 2 seconds, really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Now we're going over to the 4th platform. Again, we're trying to make sure that we have some spells up for this. My boon is coming off cooldown shortly. I send my Between the Eyes as my first spender. Adrenaline rushes up. I get a fresh Roll of Bones going. Whenever you're going into AoE packs like this, you want to make sure that you never have to press Blade Flurry to refresh halfway through your burst, and you never want to press Roll of Bones halfway through your burst. So as soon as that's ready to go, we send it. Unfortunately here, I take a lot of damage because I used Cloak to clear a mark earlier. Normally, I would be cloaking on this phase with my boon, but I figure I have my cheat death up, I have feint if I need it, I have my health stone, I have my health potion, and I ended up health potioning on this because I was stuck in boon and I took some avoidable damage, which was unavoidable for me because I was rooted in boon.
That's it for this video. I'll see you guys next time.
Back, we get our Between the Eyes back on Dathea right away. I get knocked up, getting sucked into the Cyclone, but with my grapple hook macro, I'm able to one-click back to the floor. That grapple hook macro also works really well on Storming Weeks for the same reason. When you get hit by a tornado during a Storming Week in an M+ dungeon, you can just grapple hook immediately back to the floor. So during this phase, we are just trying to avoid getting hit by these tornadoes because they crank, and we are just trying to finish off the boss here. You'll see in a little bit here, I get really unlucky. And I've just run out of procs. Sinister Strike, Sinister Strike, Sinister Strike, Sinister Strike, and my damage goes from 102k down to 100, and I'm just getting no procs at all. Sinister Strike, Sinister Strike, Sinister Strike. I've just nothing I can do here. It was just very unfortunate end to a great pull. But even so, yeah, just like at my last 10 globals were Sinister Strikes, man. Like, that is absolutely atrocious. But it is what it is. We got rank 1 rogue in the world on this fight, beating all of the pre-nerfed rogues anyways.